all they want is to feel that you don't judge me and that you accept me. It doesn't have to be on the deepest, most logical level that needs to ever make sense to you. Now, the truth of the matter is that you can imagine a family that has 10 very religious children. One's a dayan and they're all in koil, or very Hasidish, let's say. Imagine you have one kid and he becomes regular Jew. He goes to work, Zavulan. He goes to work. He's a modern Jew. He gives his meiser money. He's a Talmud Chacham, etc., etc., etc. Let's try to put this into a situation where we could understand it a little bit in our mind. What does the guy want from his mommy and from his daddy? He knows that his parents really, really wanted a chusid, and he doesn't have pious. He knows that they really wanted another kid, and it hurts him, right? So now what? He looks at himself in the mirror, he says, I'm a good person. Why can't you just accept me even though I didn't turn out the way that you wanted? And when you go ahead and the mother and the father truly say, hold on one second. This is Al-Hanar Hazeh Hispalalti. This is the child that I wanted. And he's a good person. And therefore, we're going to show you I accept you even though you are young Israel. Even though you're different than me. When you would do that, the person would feel that pain that he had from rejection and not being accepted for what he thinks is a stupid reason. So what if I'm not Hasidish or I'm not learning in Panavish? I'm a good Jew. I keep Shabbat. What do you want from me? I'm not going to go to Gan Eden. And if I'm going to end up in Gan Eden, why are you rejecting me? Because I don't want to dress like that. And he has all those bad feelings. If the mother and father can not get away from Hashem, but can grow closer to Hashem, like the tzaddikim were, the Gedolim always were mekarev and said, I love you, and meant it. They weren't lying. They were able to love, like the Baal Shem Tov said. Nesiv Shalom brings down from the Baal Shem Tov, Hatzadik hagadol b'yoyser, yochel lehoiv harasha hagadol b'yoyser. The bigger the tzaddik can truly love, the bigger the rasha, and like you just said, it's true. So is he lying, the tzaddik? No. He has real liebshaft, real love for the bigger the rasha. So that's talking about a real tzaddik and a real rasha. Now, let's go back to our example. The family is Hasidish, they live in KJ. And the boy becomes a Flatbush boy, keeping Shemitah Torah mitzvahs. And the boy feels rejected because my 12 other brothers all look like this and I don't. If the mother and father say, it's true, you know, we wanted all our kids to look like us. That's human beings. Just like modern Orthodox people want all their kids to be modern Orthodox. Not only that, there are Freya people, not religious Jews, that when the children become frum, they go nuts. They have support groups. It's called PORC, Parents of Religious Kids. I want to work for them. It'd be so much easier than you guys. I want to work for them. I'll say, buy him the black hat. Buy him. Show him I love you, even though you wear the tefillin. So PORC, Parents of Religious Kids. So yes, everybody wants the kids to be like them. But I don't reject that you have a story that you ended up different. Either you were born that way, or it's your personality, or something happened to you. And I'm not going to use my dream of you to reject you. And this everybody would understand, except for very few people. Most people would understand that it's silly in this area to reject your child. Now, when the child is off the derech, because we know that our children are in severe pain, which is causing them to act different than they themselves wanted to act. They also at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 were a certain way. And now they're acting differently. They want you to be'emes work on yourself and accept the reality that this is who they are. And we're so good at it physically. A person has a child and the child nebuch has an illness and they end up walking with a limp. Or nebuch, the foot needs to be amputated. And the kid is limping and walking. And somebody comes over to you, you love your son? I love him even more. Like the Lubavitcher Rebbe said, you have more love, the Rayat said, more love for kids who are sick. Really? Aren't you disappointed? He didn't disappoint me. His illness disappointed me. His sickness, the doctor, whatever it was, the accident, He's my kid. He's my kid that Hashem gave me. But did you really daven for such a kid? No, I davened for a kid who doesn't have a limp. But this is my reality. And we have to, as much as we get this with physical, we have to integrate into ourselves that we have children that mamish want to die. We have children that were hurt emotionally and psychiatrically, psychologically, that are mamish chayla nefesh. And their own lives are destroyed. We have to internalize it, mamish, to be able to pass a lie detector test. Because your kid knows before you open your mouth whether you're with them or against them. And by the way, it's the small-minded people that can't do it. And it's the Gedolim that constantly have the ability to look at a Yid, even a Mechal Shabbos, and really love him. Whether it's the Rayatz or the Satmar Rebbe or the Vishnitzer Rebbe, all the Rebbes, all the Litvische, Reb Gershon, Reb Steinman, the Tzaddikim had no problem with it. There was never, I can't look at you, I can't get away from me, Kimnish Du, Gainish, Shaigitz, Goite, Shiksa, all of that is Ketanim. Ketanim, small-minded people. All the stories of Steinman says that many times a week he had people, Panavisha, Chasheva people, who came to him many times a week and said, believe me, if my child's not going to be from, I prefer that they die. And they weren't going to confess their sins. They thought he was going to give him a standing ovation. Wow, you're mamish like Avraham Avinu. Wow. You know what he said? They think that they're doing Akedas Yitzchak. The Chizuhi Akedas Yitzchak. By Akedas Yitzchak, it said you should shecht as bincha asher ahavta. Ooh, you want to kill the kid who's learning well? For Hashem's sake? That's unbelievable. It says he took all the love, Hashem took all the love in the world and put it into the love that Avram had for Yitzchak. Go kill the kid that you love. That's cool. That's a trick. But you want to kill this kid, says Rav Steinman Zatzal. This kid that gives you busha, cherpa, embarrasses you, and costs you money, steals your credit cards, is a Mechal Shabbos, you're worried about the other kids, Shaduchim, he makes your life miserable, you're muchan that he should die. Pashat retzach haben leman kvoid ha'atzmi. You're just killing, murdering your child for your own kavod. That's what Steinman said. He said, Lo kach medabrim. You're not allowed to talk like that. Your child needs to know that you love him. You need to accept them. Right. Right. When you give and 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 give, you will love them. All they want is acceptance. So the shaila was, how could you really accept somebody who's deficient in character? That's the question. How could you mean it? Is this the kid that you davened for? And the answer is, if you work on yourself, you'll mean it. The Gedolim mean it. Nesiv Shalom says, when you see your child that's acting out in bad ways, Muchrachim lishloit beruach. He doesn't say control the child, like all the therapists, most of them. He doesn't say get a hold of that child and tell him, you better be home by 11:30, otherwise I'm going to lock the door, and control the child. Muchrachim lishloit beruach. In yourself. Control yourself. Ula'ayr a love. Awaken towards your child. Ahava v'chemla. Beli gvul. Awaken within yourself even more love, ahava v'chemla, mercy and love, even more than you felt towards him until now. Because that's the medicine, that's the treatment. So, the Torah and the Gedolim, say that you have to look at this child who's struggling with life and Torah and be able to prove to them, I love you. I don't judge you. Al tadin es chavera ad shetegilim kaimai. But what do you mean is Michal Shabbos? Reb Aaron Schechter was walking, the Yeshiva of Chaim Belinzel, Zayin Gesund, was walking on Ocean Parkway, and he saw kids Michal Shabbos smoking on Shabbos. So what do all the Ketanim do? Screaming, or don't look at them, or Chil Shabbos, or really think it's funny, get out of town, we got to get the garbage out of town, somebody once said. Reb Aaron Schechter went over and said, boys, ich hab eich lieb. I love you. If you ever need anything, my door is open for you 24/7. Come and talk to me anytime. All the Gedolim said, there's one medicine. And what do we do because we're in pain? We merachik them. So you have to think about yourself. and realize, and this is really what I was trying to get to, who's responsible? Which midah is responsible for you to not be able to accept somebody that because of their pain, and you know it's because of pain, is not able to behave properly? Which midah in your head is stopping you from being able to do it? Gaiva. Gaiva, gaiva, gaiva. Because if you think about it, what you do to Hashem is much worse than what your kid is doing to you. In other words, Hashem is up here, and you're down here. And when you sin against Hashem, it's much worse than the difference between us and our children. We go before Hashem, and we expect Him to be able to say, on all this terrible avirus, we're clapping, achet, slachluni, slachluni, and it's true, and He does. Why? Al hanar hazeh hispalalti. Did Hashem want us? No, Hashem wanted angels. So the Sfarim say no. Hashem said, I know you're human. If Hashem wanted angels, He could have given the Torah to the angels. He said no. With all of your dysfunction, and we know, Lev Yedei Amaras Nafshay, how dysfunctional we can be, right? And yet, we know, Hashem, please accept us.